Okay, good afternoon, students. Now, in my last class, I have done till page number 7. So, today I will just finish the section 1 part and then I will go for section 2. So, the remaining portion, that was the communication barriers. Communication barriers means what are the difficulties that are usually faced while communicating. While communicating with someone, what are the major difficulties, what are the major obstacles we normally face. So the first obstacle, that is environment of communication. Suppose the environment, I'm talking here with you and there is lots of noises in the background. So if there are so much of noises, then whatever I'm talking, whatever you're listening in, it won't be proper. So that is one barrier, that will be a problem. So here environment matters. Next is situational barriers. Situational barriers means also like noise, distraction of any sort, distance, undesired turn of events in the communication process. So any kind of situation or environment that can provide a problem and obstacle in our communication. Next is barriers to effective listening. We tend to jump into conclusion. Suppose I'm explaining something, I'm talking something, but some of the listeners, means some of the receivers, they are so much jumping in nature that they will immediately jump to the conclusion before I come to the conclusion. Before I tell the conclusion, they will jump to the conclusion because they don't have that patience. So lack of patience also creates a kind of problem in the proper communication. Next, barriers related to the personality trait of the communicators. So these are related, suppose if I am the communicator here, I'm the sender, I'm the person who is creating the message for you. Now if my personality is something which is not suitable for communication, okay, if I'm too rude, if I'm too angry, if I'm too like shouting, okay, then obviously you people will not feel comfortable to listen to my class. You won't be comfortable to listen to whatever I'm telling. So my personality here, the communicator's personality also matters. The same way the personality of the receiver, that you are sitting on the other side, if you people are not having that sobriety, if you people are not having that calmness in you, then you won't be able to listen to what I'm telling. So maybe I am a good communicator, I'm having the personality according to that communication, but you people are lacking the personality to listen. So there also, that will also hinder the good communication. Okay, now coming to session 2 today. So session 2, methods of communication. So communications are divided into 3 basic methods. So methods of communication. Methods of communication, one is verbal, non-verbal, audio, audio-visual. Okay, so these are the 3 methods of communication, how we communicate. Now we are coming into details of it. That is, first we are I'm just writing down one chart here. Communication, first one is verbal. So verbal can be divided into 2 ways. That is, one we can say oral, another we can say written. Verbal means oral as well as written. Now regarding this, there are also some advantages and some disadvantages that I will come up after completing the chart. Okay, so verbal is oral as well as written. Next is the non-verbal. Non-verbal refers to the body language. the body language. Now, what are those body language? I'm writing the types here. Expression, next is voice, next is voice and tone both, next gestures, postures, eye contact, next is physical contact, and appearance. Okay, so non-verbal means anything that is not communicated either orally or in a written manner. So those are communicated by the body language, how I am showing myself, what way I am representing myself. So that is my body language. So body language includes the expression. Okay, you can understand my expression, whether I'm sad, I'm angry, I'm happy, in what is my mood. According to my mood will reflect in my communication skills. Okay, next, my voice or my tone. Am I shouting, or am I talking very softly, or am I talking very gently? So that will also actually indicate the communication process. Now my gestures and my postures, okay, what I am doing, how I am behaving, how I am making my hand movements, okay, how I am standing, or I am laying down, or I am doing like this and taking the classes, in what way I am doing the classes. Okay, it got disconnected suddenly. So my posture, my gesture, my eye contact, my physical contact, my appearance, everything affects my communication. Okay, everything affects my communication. How I am dressing up, how I am standing, okay, how I am talking, what is the tone of my talking, am I talking in a very funny manner, or am I talking very loudly, what is my tone, what is my voice, everything actually makes up the entire communication process, how I am communicating. Fine. Next, the third level of communication, that is called audio visual. Now audio visual communication means something which you can see as well as you can hear, but it is not done by a person. Okay, it is by the use of technology. Suppose the radio, the TV, these are all audio visual. The signboard, okay, the banners, okay, these are all audio visual part of communication. Now we are coming to the advantages and disadvantages of oral communication. The first one, from verbal communication we are having the oral communication. So we are going to check what are the advantages and disadvantages of these types of communication. Advantages is telling it involves no least expenses. Okay, it won't take lot of expenditure. I am standing here, it is just my voice and my energy that is required. It is cost sufficient. Okay, so I can just talk to anyone without any kind of other expenditure. I can just speak out whatever message I am conveying. I can just speak out. I don't have to go to the market, buy a pen, buy one envelope, buy one letter and write it down and send it. I don't have to do anything like that. I can just speak to that person face to face using my voice. That is one advantage. It saves a lot of time. So whatever I have to communicate to someone, instead of writing a letter, he is standing in front of me. So I will what? Write a letter. Writing a letter will take a lot of time. So I will just go and I will speak. I will communicate. So it saves time. Next, immediate feedback is collected and message can be encoded accordingly. So if I'm talking to you something, immediately I will get your response, I will get your answer, and it will be easily communicated. Next is interpersonal nature develops relation. So if I communicate with you in a proper manner, in a decent manner, so a kind of good bonding develops between us. Okay, among us, a good bonding will develop. So that is another effect. Most effective in resolving conflicts or difficulties. So it is said that whenever two people are fighting, they are having some argument, it is often advised that you come face to face and let's talk face to face. Because if you are communicating in phone or if you are communicating in letter or by emails, it won't be that much effective. But if we communicate face to face, we can read each other's expression, we can read each other body language, each other toning, voice toning, everything. And we will be able to solve the conflict. Maybe that was not even a conflict. We are just misunderstanding due to something we are misunderstanding. So everything gets clear if we talk face to face. Promotes cooperation and teamwork. Obviously, for a team leader will stand in between among them, and they will be he will be telling inspiring things for the team to work. So it will be good for the team. Helps in making decision and persuasive. So suppose if you are requesting me something and I'm telling no, but if your requesting style is little bit different, if your persuasive style is little bit different in your, that is reflected by your voice or your attitude, then maybe I will get convinced at some point. Okay, but if you keep on writing me letters for persuasion, maybe it will not be so much effective if you are just speaking by yourself with your own voice. Next, useful for all kinds of audience. So whoever is able to hear, if I'm speaking, everybody will be getting my message. So I don't have to worry about anything. Now, coming to the disadvantages, it has no legal value. It has no importance in the court of law. So in case of legal matters, in case of formal matters, why we always prefer of some like notice, like a document, okay, because that is a proof. Suppose from school, whatever notice you are getting the notice in form of a paper, like a sheet of paper where notice is given to you, the information that school is trying to communicate. Now you are sitting in your home, you are not getting the paper, but in the website you are getting that paper, you are getting that information type. Okay, but if here standing, okay, if I communicate everything to you in a Skype and next day you are telling me that, ma'am, you have told me, but I can simply say, no, I haven't told you anything like that. Where is your proof? If you haven't recorded anything like that, if I tell you, no, I have not said anything, I can simply deny, because there is no proof of what I'm telling verbally, what I'm telling orally to you. There is no proof. So for keeping evidence, for keeping proof, for making it more legal, we need something else. Oral communication is not that dependable. No liability, accountancy and reference value of what has been agreed upon. So there is no liability. If I'm telling something now in front of you, next day I can just simply deny that part. Okay, greater scope of errors due to poor comprehension and forgetfulness. So maybe like if I'm just depending on the oral communication, suppose I'm telling something, but I'm forgetting to tell something else. And later on, if I remember also, I will think like, did I say? Maybe I have said. So there will be some lagging in the communication. Not useful for longer duration. So for longer duration, if I have to keep on communicating something, then this oral communication is not going to be helpful, because after a certain point of time, I will get tired of talking, isn't it? If I keep on talking hours after hours, at some point of time, I will be tired, I will be exhausted. Fine. Now coming to the written communication. So advantages of written communication. Written communication is the other part of verbal communication. So what are the advantages of this communication? So advantages here, writing has the advantage of having time for the choice of suitable vocabulary and the tone of the message. Message can be reviewed and revised before sending. Suppose you are typing one email, you are typing one message to someone important. So what you are doing, you are not just typing anything and sending. After typing, you are taking some time and you are checking the words again, whether the words that you have used it is proper or not, because once you have sent, you can't redo it. But while you are writing a message, you are having all the opportunities to correction opportunities there while you're typing the message. But while you're speaking something, okay, suppose you're talking to me and suddenly you're using one inappropriate word towards me, now you can't take that word back. You have to say that, ma'am, sorry, I by mistakenly I have said that. Okay, because there you are able to whatever coming in your head, you are just uttering out. You are not getting the time to revise and then send. That is only possible while you're writing something. It is legally accepted in the court. So legal documents are all made up with written communication. Longer messages can be conveyed in written form. If you have to say something too much, something too big, then you can just write it down in 1 page or 2 page or 3-4 pages. You can just take. Written messages can be duplicated and distributed. So whatever I'm talking now, whatever messages I'm trying to convey to you right now, okay, in a written form, suppose you want to share with someone else also, some other people, so you can just make a Xerox of that page and you can distribute. Okay, so it can be easily distributed. Written messages help build up goodwill and image to the sender. So writing messages is helpful. You can have a kind of formal sense, so you will have a good image of the person who is sending the message. With written messages come accountability, because written, so that is an proof, that is an evidence. So yeah, if I am writing something to you, my handwriting is there, you are having that proof. Later on, if you ask me, I can't deny that I have not done that, I have not sent you. You can simply show me that, ma'am, you have written this, you have told me this. So there is the accountability. Disadvantages of written communication, that is, written communication is time taking. Obviously it is not just very simple. Okay, if I give you to write one paragraph, you will take one whole entire period or maybe more than that. So it's not going to be like very quick and easy. Takes long for taking decision. Now after writing, several times you will be reading it back before verifying that message. Before sending the message, you will be taking lot of time in verification. Means you will be going through it, you will be reading it again and again, whether you have written everything correctly or not, whether the spellings are correct or not, whether the grammar is correct or not. You will be analyzing that part. So it takes time. Sometimes they can be misinterpreted due to lack of emotion and personal touch. So suppose I'm writing the letter to you, I'm giving you a message that submit the assignments within 25th. Okay, I'm just giving this message. Now you must be, if you are thinking that I am, you won't be able to understand in what mood exactly I'm writing this message. I can write this message in a fun way, in a very casual manner, that better you submit it in before 25th. I may be telling you in that way, but you won't be able to understand in a written message what is the, okay, that is not possible to figure out. But if I'm talking orally, then using my voice, detecting my tone, detecting my expression, you will be able to understand the emotion behind it. But that you can't do in the written documents. Next, may involve cost in drafting and sending the message. Suppose you're writing a letter, so letter writing is not like free. You have to buy the paper, you have to buy the stamps, or you have to go to the post office, you have to pay for the travel expenses of the letter. So it's kind of expensive. It will cost you some amount of money. Confidentiality can be compromised with written communication. So now secret, you are trying to communicate some secret information to someone. Okay, and there if you are using the written document, okay, so the written document, in the written document you are writing something which is very much confidential, but how can you guarantee that the written document will be safe and no one else will be able to see that ever again? So this one about written document. But if I'm talking that orally, if I'm just telling, here come, I need to tell you one secret, I have got one information, and I'm just whispering it into your ear, so you're getting the information is done and no one is able to hear that. Okay, I'm taking all the several measures so that no one is able to hear. And once I convey the message, my work is done. So confidential message has been conveyed, but no one will ever come to know unless I speak of it again to them. So that is the advantage of oral and the disadvantage of written. Now coming to the verbal communication, as I told you, the verbal communication these are all the body language related verbal communication. So what are the advantages and non-advantages? Non-verbal communication complements oral and audio-visual communication. It substitutes for the verbal communication, like speaking with proper eye contact and tone. Sometimes speaking is not required at all, like showing thumbs up to cheer someone. So non-verbal communication complements oral and visual, oral and audio-visual communication. Means it adds on, it helps us. Okay, non-verbal communication means my body language. By using my body language, I am trying to help this verbal, either oral, written, or the audio-visual communication. These two communications are getting helped by this non-verbal communication related to the body language. Okay, you are able to understand these messages much more clearly with a physical appearance, with the physical gestures, with the physical posture, with eye contact, with everything. You are getting a better idea of it. It substitutes for the verbal communication. Okay, sometimes even without using my voice, if you are asking something, I am just telling you like this. I am telling you like this means okay. But instead of telling okay, I just skip that voice. If I'm having problem in my throat, I will just skip that voice. I will tell like no. Like using my hand gesture, I will tell no. Using my hand gestures, I will tell like okay. So I can do that easily. Next, helps in easier interpretation of message by the receiver. Okay. So if my expression, if my appearance is desirable to you, if I am speaking in a very jolly manner with lots of energy, with lots of enthusiasm, then whatever I am telling, even that is a very like stupid joke also, you will be able to receive it with that same amount of fun without getting hurt. Okay, without getting any hard feelings, you will be able to get that joke. But if you read that in a kind of message form, okay, maybe you will be understanding why this person is writing like this, because at that time that expression, that gestures are missing. Okay, then reinforces the message, like telling the direction and pointing at it too. So same only, nothing much to explain. Helps illiterate and physically challenged engaged in participants of the communication. Okay, now this non-verbal means non-verbal communications can help one illiterate or physically challenged person to understand, someone who is not able to hear, someone who is not able to read or write. So if I keep on telling them with some gestures of my hand, the message which I am trying to communicate, that will be communicated. Okay, that this is helpful for them. Engages the participants of the communication. So if I'm taking the class with you, okay, if I'm standing in the class and everyone is paying attention to me, I'm able to hold your attention at this point, because you are watching someone physically present in front of your eyes, moving here and there, making the movements of the hands and talking and in different tone and voices. So obviously you will be noticing that. But if you are given just one textbook, everything is written there, everything is explained there, you just read it once, you will get the message. So you will feel like, okay, I will read it later also, something like that. Next, the advantages and disadvantages of audio-visual communication. The last part, that is advantages of audio-visual communication. Use of internet and video conferencing saves cost incurred otherwise on scaling geographical barriers, physical movement of participants, and other related expenses like lodging, food. Now your present situation, everyone in your home, they are stuck. Okay, why they are stuck? Because the pandemic is going on outside your homes. Okay, you need to be in your home. So at this situation, this audio visual that you are having right now in Skype, in your computer, in your mobile phones, you are watching me take the class. So you are getting both the audio as well as video. So this is helping you in the communication part. Maybe it will cost you a little bit. You have to spend some mobile data, you have to spend some Wi-Fi connection costing is there, but it is actually meeting up the present situation, the crisis that we are facing. If this is not there, then you won't be able to know that how the class is to be taken. If you were living 100 years before, if 100 years before this thing was happening, then completely your school, your education, everything would have been like completely stopped for uncertain months. Okay, you won't be getting anything. It is an effective way to explain complex ideas and concepts easily. So why you are having your smart class? Your smart class is just one help, a help that will, by means of movements and animation, by means of different ways, you are getting the concepts more clear. Okay, the part of biology that you are studying in a theory manner, in a theoretical manner from your book, if you are able to see that in the video how it is happening, in what system it is happening, you will be getting a clearer understanding of that particular topic. Technology makes it reusable and easy to distribute. So technology is reusable. You are having a video file, you want to share the video file with someone else, you can just share it. You can just send it in the WhatsApp using Messenger or anything else. You can just use it in a pen drive also, you can do that. It works as a vital driving force in business and education. Right now there is nothing without this audio visual technology. Everywhere it is used, in business, in education, in every field it is used. It has become one inseparable, incompromisable part of our world. It makes the mode of communication interesting and many times entertaining. So if you are having the smart class, the day when the smart class, that particular class you feel little bit excited, because along with normal class you are going to have something exciting. You're going to watch one video, okay, something which will be entertaining for you. After all, we all love to watch the big screen. Now, disadvantages of audio-visual communication, that is, it incurs a lot of cost in infrastructure. Obviously, for setting up this entire system, costing is there. Okay, for setting up the home computers that you are having in your home, you are setting up a laptop, you are setting up a webcam, you are having one headphone for listening to it properly, you are making a internet connections, everything will cost you something. It will cost some amount of money. It's not like free. It needs maintenance and equipments. Okay, so now you have to, after buying all those devices, all those machines, you have to keep it well. If there is any kind of problem, you have to use it, you have to handle it well, because if there is any kind of problem, after all it is a machine, it will get spoiled, it will get damaged. You need to call one mechanic for that. Technology and equipment can be complex to operate and learn. So sometimes we all feel little bit of problem in understanding, oh my god, how to do this application, where to click, how to make it, how to do the settings. Some things in the technology are little bit of complicated, and it is according to our understanding whether we are able to understand or not. If you are not able to understand how to operate the Skype, then it will be a problem for you to do the Skype class. But once you learn, it will be easy. But that learning is little bit tough. Okay, as you are able to learn it so fast because you are of this generation. And similarly, if you tell your grandparents or very elderly people to come and sit and do the Skype, maybe they will face some kind of difficulty because their technical knowledge was not advanced as you have. Their technical knowledge is not as advanced as you all are having. Okay, so these are the problems of technology. It depends on several factors that can render the process of communication non-functional. The power failures, ensuring attendance of participants, functioning of the equipment, as you are facing here sometimes often. That is, while I'm taking the class, just few minutes, just a while ago, the thing got disconnected. Okay, because of some technical issue. Sometimes there is a power cut, so everything gets stopped. So we really can't depend on the technology like 100%. Okay, there are some things which we have to manage, some situational things that we have to manage with the use of technology. So these are some of the disadvantages. So that's all. We have completed our chapter. In the next class, we will be starting with the session 3, and session 3, along with session 3, I will try to go for session 4 as well. Okay, and someone was asking about the syllabus. Now I will tell you, as far as I am doing, as far as I am doing and your computer teacher, your sir is doing, okay, that will be your syllabus. And as the English portion you have started little bit late, so you will expect just very little question from this English portion.